Hello and welcome back to the Premier Injuries channel. Today we're talking about a serious topic as game week 1 has seen an awful injury to Ben Godfrey. As always, we like to give you the most up-to-date analysis, go in depth with all the information to do with this injury. And of course, before we even start, we hope that Ben Godfrey makes a swift return because that looked like a nasty injury. But yes, before we get into the kind of footage analysis, which we're going to do, and just a warning to people who might be squeamish, if they don't like that sort of thing, you can turn off. But Ben, what is the latest from the club on this injury?
Yeah, so we heard from Everton late on Saturday evening. They confirmed that Ben Godfrey had initially been taken to hospital with what they classified as a lower leg injury. A further update on the club's website then revealed that the player had suffered what Frank Lampard referred to as a simple or a fractured fibula. Now, he spoke about that injury and he said, look, we're probably looking at months rather than weeks for his potential return to that Everton team.
And so with this type of injury then, what is the kind of average return to play data that we have? Is there positive kind of outcomes with this?
Yeah, I mean, look, there's positive outcomes. The difficulty and the problem that we have at this moment in time, we don't understand the full extent of the problem. We don't have any kind of definitive diagnosis in terms of what we're actually looking at. Yes, there is a fracture to that fibula, but then, other considerations are exactly to what extent. Is it a stable fracture? Is it non-displaced? Whereabouts is that fracture actually taking place? And is there any kind of secondary involvement, maybe to the ankle, the malleolus, or also the deltoid ligaments in and around there as well? So those can have massive impacts on return to play timelines and also the type of intervention that player may need. Like I say, it could, ultimately he may need surgery to repair, that ankle. So again, that will extend any potential return to play timeline. But suffice to say, we have that break for the World Cup coming up around about mid-November. That gives us around about 3 months. Realistically, from what we know and from what we've seen on that video footage and that mechanism of injury where that ankle rotates fairly severely out, I think we could be certainly looking towards maybe that 2 to possibly 3 month period, which may mean that we, quite possibly we may not see Ben Godfrey until maybe those festive fixture periods kick off again.
Yeah, let's talk through then. You've started to kind of explain what happened with the injury. Then we're going to put up the images now. So with this kind of movement here, you see Kai Havertz running along and then Ben Godfrey comes in. Why has this happened?
Yeah, I mean, if we even want to take that back a step further and to give a little bit of context, if those who are watching the game or heard the discussion points, they talk about how that ball actually went out of play and we've seen Jordan Pickford scrambling and it was clearly over the line. It wasn't even a close call, and we've seen sort of Jordan Pickford hesitate to when he kicked the ball to sort of jump in. And again, you're looking at the player's body language and the likes of Ben Godfrey maybe thinking, well, it's out of play. We're just waiting for that linesman to flag. We're listening for that referee's decision. It was all a bit of a mess. None of that came along. So it was that reaction to get back in and stop Kai Havertz, stop that breakthrough on goal. And as he slides in, and I commented at the time, it was a great challenge. But Ben Godfrey knew straight away. I think one of his teammates actually tried to help him up, and he ushered him off, and he signaled no. And on that video footage, those slow-mo replays, you actually see how his studs get caught in the turf, and like I say, they externally rotate that ankle. The force goes through that, and that's what's caused that fracture of the fibula. And I suspect also, some secondary damage in and around that, whether to that ankle bone or whether to the ligaments in and around that ankle, which fits with what Frank Lampard said in terms of that return to play timeline, which will certainly be months. Yes, I mean, so with that in mind, Jason, obviously with Ben Godfrey set for a spell out, and also potential loss of Yerry Mina, we've seen Everton go with a back five against Chelsea on Saturday. Given their lack of options defensively, particularly in the heart of that defence, how would you see those injuries impacting on the Toffees going forward, certainly over these next few game weeks?
Yeah, it's a big concern, but I think the problem with Everton is more than just kind of a few personnel problems. Obviously, the bringing in of Tarkowski over the summer was a pretty good kind of signing for them with the kind of situations. He's very dependable, whereas obviously Mina is not. But I think the problems run very deep. First and foremost, I would avoid their assets. They've got a very kind of poor history recently. And even though some of those fixtures ahead look green, I think they will be very difficult for them. And you always talk about the kind of 3/6 pointer games where you got to win those teams around them. Well, they're playing the likes of Nottingham Forest, Brentford, and Leeds, who realistically, at the moment, it looks like Everton will be in another relegation battle. So they're all important, tough games. They're not big boys anymore. They're not top half of the table where those type of results can be assured. But what I would say as well is there's just been a long-term malaise, a downturn at Everton. And you just look at their XG difference per 90 over the last few seasons. In 2019-20, they had plus 0.02. Then the season before last, that went down to minus 0.13 per 90. And then last season, minus 0.31. That was really horrific kind of data. And so I think with all these kind of discussion points, that there's general big problems at Everton. And yes, Godfrey and Mina are going to be big losses, but generally the team just hasn't been managed well over the last few seasons. That is partly down to Lampard, but it's also kind of Ancelotti and also just generally Benitez. Obviously, I forgot that he was even there. It's kind of such a forgettable period. It's not great for the Toffees, and I would advise people not to go for their assets. You've got much nicer 4-point assets as well. Dan Burn is one that I think a lot of people are kind of sleeping on, or Botman as well from Newcastle. Newcastle are going to be really, really good this season. So that is my kind of advice from the data analysis perspective. But we will keep everybody up to date as much as possible with the information around this. As always, remember to subscribe to the channel because we offer just full fact, scientifically approach this, no misinformation, no rumor. So for now, we're going to wish you the best of health. We're going to wish Ben the best of health as well. We hope to see Mr. Godfrey back on the pitch as soon as possible. And we will see you again very, very soon with more videos through the week.